The chime of the bell beckons us into sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, where we widen love's circle by honoring the inherent worth and dignity of all. We extend a heartfelt and inclusive welcome to all who wish to join us this morning for meaningful worship and service to the world. Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta comunidad donde ampliamos el círculo del amor, honorando el valor y la dignidad inherentes de todos. We greet all of those who join us this morning. We hope that those of you watching the live stream will fill out our online attendance form and refer to the many announcements in the online order of service. We ask those of you who are here in person after the service to make an effort to introduce yourself to someone you do not know. And now I invite you to join Jim in our opening hymn.
Good morning. Let's warm up by singing hymn number 407. Please rise in body or in spirit, and we're going to sit at the welcome table.
We are going to sit at the welcome table. Let the words of our opening song be a charge to us this morning to be a community in a time of division where we can offer a universal welcome. Immigrant, refugee of any race, of any gender, speaking any tongue, of any age or ability, we say, whoever you are welcome here. So in that spirit of universal welcome, come, friends, let us worship together.
Please join me in reciting the words to our congregational covenant written in your order of service. Love is the spirit of our congregation. Service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to encourage one another. Thus do we covenant.
For the special music today, we have something a little bit different because Jolie said I could do it. In view of certain current events, we're going to sing a protest song. And this strain, everybody knows, it's an old spiritual. It's been done a million different ways, blues, country. But the words that spoke to me the most were those of Woody Guthrie, which are in your order of service So, please rise and let's sing this train. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. Truth and justice mandatory. This train is bound. This train don't carry no gamblers. This train don't carry no gamblers. This train don't carry no gamblers, liars, thieves, nor big shot ramblers. This train don't carry no. This train don't carry no smokers. This train don't carry no smokers. This train don't carry no smokers. Two-bit grifters, small-time jokers. This train don't carry no. This train don't carry no con men. This train don't carry no con men. This train don't carry no con men. No wheeler dealers, here and gone. This train don't carry no con. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. Singing about the freedom story. This train is bound for glory. This train.
So now is the time where we send our kids off to their religious education classes with Carol, and I think they're going to do some fun stuff today. So kids, as we send you off, please remember that we love you and we are so glad that you're here. You're not just a future of our congregation, but an important part of it right now. So please look to your order of service and join with me in singing As You Go. Enter with me into the space that some call prayer and others name meditation. Open yourselves to the wonders and mysteries of the world. Open yourself to compassion and empathy. Take one breath. Take another. Find your center. O Spirit of love and justice, known by many names, God, the highest to which we humans can aspire, the Spirit that moves between us, we invoke you in this hour. We invoke you in gratitude that a temporary ceasefire has been reached in Gaza. We are grateful for this breaking out of peace, grateful that it will save lives, and grateful that it reminds us of that most difficult truth, preached ever by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life and legacy we celebrate today. So many of the ills of the world have been caused by human hearts and human hands, and we can overcome them when we unite our human hearts and human hands in pursuit of the great dream of liberty, justice, economic security, and peace for all. Grateful for the peaceful pause, let us recommit ourselves as ever to build peace. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say Amen. We pause together now to lift up that which sits heavy and light upon our hearts. Nathan Bosson, my father's older brother and my uncle, died on Wednesday after a long illness. We ask for love and compassion and prayers for the entire extended Bosson family during this time. Our hearts go out to those affected by the wildflowers in Southern California and the severe weather across the country. We now turn to a practice inspired by African, indigenous, and neo-pagan communities. We say aloud or bring to mind those we wish to have held in the loving embrace of this religious community. We hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Amid this beloved community, in this great cloud of witness and memory, let us also extend our empathy to all of the suffering that has gone unnamed, and all of the joy. Let us celebrate all the joy that has gone unspoken. We pause now in awe and wonder of the beauty, mystery, and diversity that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you into a time of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This week, we are donating to U.S. Dream Academy. The U.S. Dream Academy seeks to offer young people a safe place to go after school for academic support, mentoring, and inspiration. They have served over 11,000 students living in underinvested communities and who are exposed to multiple risk factors, including parental incarceration. This morning, we are welcoming Mr. Dipam Bhatka to tell us more about it. Come on up, sir.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having us. My name is Dipam Bhatka with the U.S. Dream Academy. And Dream Academy, our mission is to inspire and invest in the lives of children of incarcerated parents and families in communities harmed by systemic inequities. And my work with Dream Academy started in 2009, and the organization started back in 1998 with our founder, Wintley Phipps, whom did prison ministry. And through his work in prison ministry, he wanted to create something that would break the cycle of incarceration for generations. And so through our work, I just got back this week from our learning center that was established in Salt Lake City, Utah. And in my role today, I get the blessing and opportunity to oversee our learning centers across the U.S. in Orlando, Philly, Baltimore, D.C., Houston, Texas, San Bernardino, and whatnot. And through our work, we're glad to be here. And as I think about our work in the out-of-school time space, in communities that are underserved, through our work and through being here today and the different things that were shared today, we think about not just the piece that we are able to support a young person with and the family, but the piece that they give us, right? We get the opportunity to do this work, but we're also mindful that of the assets in the spaces that we occupy. Because regardless of that, if we don't be mindful of that, I don't think we're actually working in a collaborative manner with the young people we support through the opportunity of working with parents and also community partners that support the work we do to help us sustain the work that we do. So we're glad to be here. We're thankful to do this work as well and to be able to sustain the work that we've created and are doing for years to come. So thank you for allowing us to be here and share what the U.S. Dream Academy does, stands for, and keeps on doing. So thank you.
Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service next to the name of the shared offering recipient. And those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously, and offering will now be gratefully received.
join with me to dedicate our offering with the words found in our order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Our first reading this morning is Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sweet over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Our first reading.
Our second reading is All Labor Has Dignity by Martin Luther King, Jr. I come by here to say that America is going to hell. If she doesn't use her wealth, if America does not use her vast resources to end poverty and make it possible for all of God's children to have the basic necessities of life, she will go to hell. And I will hear America through her historians, years and generations to come. We built gigantic buildings to kiss the skies. We built gargantuan bridges to span the seas. Through our spaceships, we were able to carve highways through the stratosphere. Through our airplanes, we were able to dwarf distances and place time in chains. Through our submarines, we were able to penetrate oceanic depths. It seems I can hear the God of the universe saying, even though you have done all of that, I was hungry and you fed me not. I was naked, and you clothed me not. The children were in need of economic security, and you did not provide it for them. And so you cannot enter the kingdom of greatness. This may well be the indictment for America. Here ends the second reading.
Our next hymn is actually not in the gray book. It probably should be. It is a spiritual and was sung by Mahalia Jackson. And when asked, Dr. King said this was his favorite hymn. So please rise in body or in spirit. You're gonna probably recognize this tune, but after the first couple of notes, you'll probably figure it out. So. If I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can help somebody on the way, living shall not be no, my living shall not be no, my living shall not be in vain. I can help
I start my sermon in an unusual way. I offer you a bit of the Bible. The passage is from Luke 16:19 to 23. In it, we find Jesus sharing this story. There once was a rich man who used to dress in purple and the finest linen and feasted sumptuously every day. At his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, who was covered with sores. He would have been glad to satisfy his hunger from the rich man's table. Dogs used to come and lick his sores. One day, the poor man died and was carried away to be with Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up, and there, far away, was Abraham with Lazarus close beside him. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up, and there, far away, was Abraham with Lazarus close beside him. This was one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite parables. He had included it in one of the last speeches he gave right before he was assassinated. He was in Memphis, Tennessee, supporting striking garbage workers. Two men, Echo Cole and Robert Walker, had been crushed to death by a defective packing mechanism that the city had refused to update. The city would not give their families life insurance, and the city would not pay for workmen's compensation. Echo Cole and Robert Walker, they died because the city of Memphis would not spend money on better equipment. Their families were left with nothing. Echo Cole and Robert Walker, I include their names in our service because the civil rights movement was a movement. It was not just Martin King. It was not just Martin King and Rosa Parks. It's not just Martin King and Rosa Parks and John Lewis and Barbara Jordan. It was thousands of ordinary working people protesting, marching, sitting in, speaking up, and staring down old Jim Crow to improve their material conditions. It was the Montgomery bus boycott, the Freedom Riders, the March on Washington, Freedom Summer, and the Selma to Montgomery marches. It was hundreds of black garbage workers in Memphis who went on strike for safe working conditions, better wages, and recognition for their union. The white mayor refused to negotiate, so the garbage workers invited Martin King to come lead their effort. He told them about Lazarus and the rich man. He cast them as Lazarus, the children of God in need of economic security. He cast the white power structure as the rich man. He said, America is going to hell if she does not use her vast resources to end poverty. America is going to hell, King warned us at the end of his life. America is going to hell if the country does not do something about economic inequality, about poverty wages, about the price of groceries, about the price of housing. He told us before he died. And America is going to hell. Sometimes it seems like the country is about to arrive at its destination. It seems that the country is about to arrive at its destination. Now, I know it is customary on the Sunday before Martin Luther King Day to celebrate how far the nation has come since old Jim Crow had his wings clipped. It's typical to lift up King's dream and the magnificent speech he gave on the Lincoln Memorial. I still have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the meaning of its creed, he said. I have a dream that one day the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will sit together at the table of brotherhood, he shared. I have a dream. America is going to hell. We are between a dream and a waking nightmare. Tomorrow morning, someone who pals around with white supremacists, who encourages insurrection, who has callous disregard for human life, who maligns women, who sees fit to nominate sexual predators to the nation's highest offices, and who is demoted to government of the rich, by the rich, and for the rich, will reoccupy the White House. Tuesday, he is promising the deportations begin. Tuesday, families will be sundered and lives will be shattered. Tuesday, I have a dream. The president-elect's last term in office was traumatizing. This Sunday, as we celebrate the great dreamer, I want to talk with you about the trauma and the dream. The dream has been long deferred. The only way to overcome the trauma is to realize it. Trauma, you might recall, is our body's way of responding to being overwhelmed, to suffering violence, and to experiencing abuse. It's not the abuse itself, it's how we react afterwards. For many of us, the words trauma and abuse bring up painful memories. Naming the reality that we are collectively facing is not easy. It might be helpful to ground ourselves in the present moment, to take a deep breath and to take sanctuary, safety in the membership of our religious community. Describing what is happening is not pleasant, but it is necessary if we are to move through the next years together. So breathe with me as we continue our sermon. Abuse is not always physical, it can be psychological. Often it is about trying to control someone else's experiences of reality, the stories we tell each other about what is true and what is real. The well-known phenomenon of gaslighting is a favorite tactic of abusers. What has happened around the narrative for January 6th is an unfortunate illustration of how gaslighting works. On January 6th, there was an attempt to overthrow the elected government of the United States of America and install someone who had lost a presidential election into the nation's highest office. We all saw what happened on television on January 6, 2021. An angry mob, many of them white supremacists, some of them waving Confederate flags, some of them carrying neo-Nazi symbols, invaded the Capitol with the intention of stopping the peaceful transfer of power. They were instigated by the man who will be president tomorrow. Since then, he has repeated over and over the untruth that the event was a day of love. He's denied that violence took place and replaced that truth with a false narrative that benefits him. This is gaslighting, the repetition of a lie so often that truth becomes obscured, lost, and people begin to doubt their own experiences. It is a form of abuse. And it is, of course, not the only form of abuse committed by the man who will be president. He's been found responsible in a civil trial by a jury of having sexually abused a woman in a department store. More than 25 other women have alleged that he has assaulted them as well. In the face of the return of power of this abuser-in-chief, people have 4 traumatic responses. We can fight, we can fly, we can fawn, or we can freeze. Fight, flight, fawn, or freeze name the range of responses that people have to abuse and in reaction to trauma. If Martin King's dream is ever going to become realized, then we need to find the resources to respond by fighting. The dream itself contains the power to help us combat the abuser-in-chief and wake up from the nightmare to stop the country from going to hell. We'll return to the power of the dream shortly. Before we do, it is important to observe how people are freezing, fawning, or flying in the face as the abuser-in-chief ascends. Freezing, this is one of the most common responses. Many of us simply do not know what to do. Not knowing what to do, we do nothing. 8 years ago, when the man from Mar-a-Lago was sworn into office, there were mass protests. Millions were in the streets. Millions pledged to resist. This time, not so much. For many, the situation feels hopeless. Billionaires appear poised to loot the country and undermine our underdeveloped infrastructure. White supremacists are gleeful. Rights of all kinds are under assault. No easy path forward to protect them appears. Not knowing what to do, the impulse is to do nothing. And I've had this reaction myself. The constant barrage of gaslighting, of misinformation, of manipulation takes its toll. Part of my response to this abuse has been to tune out what is happening, to freeze and pretend that life is going on as normal. And I know that I'm not alone in this response. Across the board, viewership of non-right-wing media is down. Many people are frozen. The problem with freezing is that it does not change the dynamics. The old adage, misattributed to the philosopher Edmund Burke, is true. The only necessary thing for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. If we do nothing, then nothing will change. Flight. We often respond to trauma by trying to escape. People talk of leaving the country, moving to Europe or Latin America, or any place where women are respected, transgender people are not targeted, where it will not feel like life is a constant struggle against the abuser-in-chief. Some people in our community have already made this decision. They've left Texas for states that protect women's reproductive health. They've left the country for places that are friendlier to transgender children. They've departed the United States to live lives where they feel a little bit more free. I'm sympathetic. I found myself wanting to retreat to somewhere, anywhere where I can avoid what is to come. In my fantasies, I find myself living the life of a mystic, pursuing inner freedom while the world around me burns. Returned over and over to the Chinese recluse poets who, during times of civil strife, forsook the world. Po Chuai. No esteem for the stately caps and carriages of consequence. In love with woods and streams, I go out and doze, perhaps drunk beside the pond. I've stopped trying to save the world, just wander herb paths, keeping my little fishing boat swept out. Such inner efforts at flight are rarely fully successful. As for leaving the state or the country, well, sometimes it can work. But the disturbing truth is that the ascent of a white supremacist or authoritarian to the presidency means that authoritarian movements right around the world are emboldened. They cannot easily be escaped. Argentina, Israel, Italy, Hungary, the number of countries under the sway of right-wing reactionaries seems to be increasing. For the politically informed, the option of flight is reminiscent of an old Hungarian Jewish joke. Comes to me by the way of a friend of mine, the scholar Mark Lousteau. And in it, there are two old Jewish men who find that as the times are getting tough for the Jewish community where they live, they think it's, well, time to leave again. The other one says, all right, well, let's get out the globe and figure out what country to go to. They spin the globe around and point to one country and say, how about here? Nah, things are not good there. They spin the globe again, point to another country. Here? No way, things are even worse there than they are here. They spin the globe a third time. Here? Nope. Silence. Next globe, please. Next globe, please. So much of what the abuser-in-chief will make worse: resurgent white supremacy and exacerbation of the climate crisis, growing economic inequality, destruction of public infrastructure, will be found almost anywhere on the planet. Just as significantly, flight might make sense for some of us. If you have to leave Texas or the country, there is no shame in that. But it is not an option for all of us. Fawn, this seems to be the response of much of the political class and the economic elite. They are accepting the outcome of the election. They are deferring to normalizing the former president and future president. Human weather vane Mark Zuckerberg is changing his social media platform policies to accommodate the incoming administration. Senator John Fetterman visited him in Florida. Former President Obama has even been seen joking with him. Many congressional Democrats supported a recent anti-immigrant bill without winning any meaningful concessions. It limits the rights of immigrants to due process. It authorizes detentions of migrants who have been accused of a theft or a variety of crimes. Now that's accused, not convicted. Such finding is often done in the hope that the abuser will direct his gaze elsewhere. Members of the Republican Party have learned this lesson well. In the last decade, those who have failed to fawn to the former and future president have found their political careers destroyed and themselves cast out into the political wilderness. For the party of Newt Gingrich and Strom Thurmond, fawning has been a response that has allowed them to survive and even thrive as the abuser-in-chief has taken control of the Republican Party. Freeze, flight, fawn. We come now to fight. This was Martin King's response to the abusive system of Jim Crow and white supremacy that he grew up in during the 1940s and 50s, that he worked to end in the 50s and 60s. When Echo Cole and Robert Walker were crushed to death, he did not freeze. When he was asked to come to Memphis, he did not fly. When he was invited to lead the garbage workers, he did not fawn. He did not beg the white power structure to give them a modicum of dignity. He told the white mayor, the white city council, the white power structure, that they were the rich men in the parable of Lazarus and the rich men. And he warned them that if their community did not change and find justice for all, that not just Memphis, but America is going to hell. America is going to hell. It is difficult to talk about Martin King's willingness to fight without acknowledging that it cost him his life. Sometimes fighting is not without mortal risks. There are reasons why people freeze, fly, or fawn instead. America is going to hell. Fighting does not mean going it alone. It's about coming together to build collective power. Things are easier when you are part of a movement. Being part of a movement allows us to be stronger than we are when we are on our own. It's like the bit of the Marge Piercy poem I shared with many of you right after the election. 12 make a demonstration, 100 fill a hall, 1,000 have solidarity and your own newsletter, 10,000 power and your own paper, 100,000 your own media, 10 million your own country. The Memphis garbage strike ended with victory for the strikers. The city was forced to recognize their union and improve their working conditions and wages. The civil rights movement and the dream did not die with Martin King. The dream did not die. The poet Langston Hughes asked, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? King's dream has so often been reduced to people sitting together at the table of brotherhood. But this was only part of it. An important dimension that gets left out of the narratives, gets forgotten on the civic holiday, is removed from the media accounts, is that he dreamed of an end to poverty and economic security for all, and he feared that if they did not come, well then America is going to hell. The widespread anger about grocery prices, about the price of housing, the recent round of inflation led to the election of the abuser-in-chief. The widespread perception that the Democratic Party does not care about working-class people put him back in power. In the next months, we will be reminded that what he truly believes in is plutocracy, government by the rich, while he practices kleptocracy, government by thieves, and embraces kaiocracy, government by the worst. The only way to wake up from this nightmare is to embrace King's dream of economic security and build a spiritual movement to make his vision a reality. That is how the incoming president can be deprived of much of his appeal. That is how we fight. That is how we honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So here comes my challenge to us as a religious community. What can we do together to build such a spiritual movement? I believe that First Unitarian Universalist can do great things. Our voting justice ministry this past fall was nothing short of remarkable. We organized over 250 volunteers. We registered almost 1,000 new voters. We contacted over 30,000 voters, and we invested over 2,500 volunteer hours. That is pretty amazing. For our efforts, the Unitarian Universalist Association has recognized us as a good trouble congregation. A good trouble congregations. We have the potential to make more trouble. In the coming years, rather than freezing, rather than flying, in the place of fawning, what would it mean if we came together to do something concrete to help people achieve economic security? Maybe we could establish a new community garden. Maybe we could start a democratically managed affordable housing center. Maybe we could support a union organizing drive. Maybe we could start a free health care clinic. Maybe we could help establish a worker cooperative or push the city to start a municipally managed chain of grocery stores, as the city of Chicago is doing right now. This Sunday, as we sit at the precipice of disaster, as even President Biden must acknowledge that the country is being transformed into an oligarchy, there is still much we can do to bring Martin King's dream into being. Today, so many of us have traumatic responses. But I invite you, as we do, to dream of what we might do together as a religious community in the coming months and years. I hope that this service will be an invitation for you to imagine our collective potential. I aspire to work with you to make it a reality. King knew that it was possible to make such dreams a reality. He gave his life to bring them into being, and he closed some of his speeches thus. I know you are asking today, how long will it take? I come to you to say, however difficult the moment, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth pressed to the earth will rise again. How long? Not long, because no lie can live forever. How long? Not long, because you will reap what you sow. How long? Not long, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Mine eyes have seen the glory. Let us this Sunday and all the days of our lives commit to be tellers of truth, workers for justice, and keepers of the dream. Let us rise and meet the coming day by turning fear into courage and despair into possibility, so that the best that we might imagine can become reality. Mine eyes have seen the glory. Let us commit ourselves to bringing that glory into being. And so let the congregation say, Amen.
Our closing hymn, we've got to sing this one. Number 169, please rise in body or in spirit and sing We Shall Overcome.
Please join me in saying the words to extinguishing our chalice written in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We close our service with the last public words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. May they continue to inspire us. We've got some difficult days ahead, but that doesn't really matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man, because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. Mine eyes have seen the glory. Let us go in peace. Let us go in love. May our lives be a blessing. Amen. Thank you for joining us. We want to know who you are and would love to connect with you. Please fill out the link to the online attendance form, and if you are on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're interested in joining our congregation, email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much.